Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Vegan Tour Guide Podcast with your host, Mike Knight, where we'll bring you great information about a vegan plant-based diet. It doesn't matter if you've been vegan for years, part-time vegan, or just gathering more information. This podcast is for you. Thanks again for joining, and let's get today's tour started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Vegan Tour Guide Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Knight. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. I'm glad you tuned in to hear me bring someone else's journey to a plant-based vegan lifestyle to you today. Hey, in case you're new to the show, number one, thank you for tuning in and welcome to the show. You'll find this podcast is for everyone. And I interview people so you can hear about their story, their journey, possibly whether it be their business or passion, their causes. And through all this, my main goal is to inform and educate you, and also hope that you find people in the show, relatable to you. So you find things in them and their story that help you along your path. So therefore, together we can raise awareness, that a plant-based vegan lifestyle is for everyone, and not just a certain type of person. Now, for all of you returning listeners, thanks so much, as always, for coming back. I really appreciate it. Thanks for helping spread the word. Again, I appreciate your feedback, your emails, you checking in on the website. I know a lot of you have told me you've been listening to some of the past shows where everything can be found at, vegantourguide.com. So thank you so much for that. All right, on today's show, we have Ella Magers. And what Ella's going to share with us, and we're going to find out is, what drives her. What drives Ella to do the things she's already done? What drove her at the very beginning and what point of her life to go, make the transition over to a vegan plant-based lifestyle. And then from there, you're going to find out, her series of accomplishments, including being named, by Shape as one of the top 50 hottest trainers. I mean, period. And what drove her to get, to that level, to put the time and the focus and the energy into doing that. And then what drove her into the fitness competition, all right, where she actually won the bikini division. All right, so you'll find out, what was driving her, what inspires her, and there in turn, you'll find out what she's doing to take that same drive and inspiration and bring it out to others. So you're going to find out how she does that. You're also going to find out about, her mission, and through her mission where she started, sexyfitvegan.com and what she brings to people there. All right, so I'm telling you, there's a lot of information she shares, a lot of relevant, great information. I really love talking with her. Look forward to circling back and talking with her again. So I invite you all to sit back and learn a lot as we welcome Ella onto the show.
All right, Ella, welcome to the Vegan Tour Guide.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yes. So how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you today?
Doing well. Got a little bit of the heat going on here in Charlotte, North Carolina, running around like crazy.
That is so cool. You're from Charlotte. I'm from Chapel Hill.
What?
Yeah.
That is so cool. I had no idea. Because you're down where now, Miami? You're like South Florida now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Miami Beach, and I've been here for, 16, 17 years. But I grew up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and went to school in Wilmington, North Carolina, UNC Wilmington.
Very cool. See, there we go. Mm-hmm. Very cool to hear that. So that's cool that your journey started here.
It sure did, right there.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of your journey started earlier, and kind of like you and I were talking, that's where I'd love to start. I mean, I want to talk to people so they know. Of course, I'll have this like in the show notes and all, but I want to tell everybody real quick a little bit about your bio and about all the things you have done.
Gosh.
Well, I mean, okay. I love it because I want people to know. I mean, really, when you're talking where you're coming from, because there's, a lot of stuff you've done, a lot, if you will, practicing what you preach. Because, I mean, you're, what you call the plant-powered lifestyle coach. And then you're a certified personal trainer. And on top of that, you've got a wellness coach certificate.
Yeah.
And then you took it to another level because we're going to get into it, but you obviously, preach, fitness and being able to achieve fitness. So you back that up being named, in the top 50 hottest trainers by Shape magazine. And then, as if making it in the top 50, I guess the competitive driving you kicked in, because you said top 50, let's keep it going. So then you went first place in the bikini division at the World Championships of Fame. And so I imagine there's a little bit of competitive in there. And then, in case people wonder, if there's a balance of yin and yang of, like the soft side, but also the hard side, 14 years in Muay Thai. And I know you and I even talked about that. So a lot of respect for that.
Yes, thank you. I love Muay Thai.
Oh, yeah. And then somewhere in there you decided, you know what, as if you don't stay busy enough, you're just going to write a book. So you went out and wrote the 6 weeks to Sexy Abs Meal Plan, that book.
Yes, I did. Wow, it sounds like a lot when you say it all at once.
Yeah, see, well, that is awesome. I mean, you're doing a lot, and so I've been really looking forward to talk to you, and I know the listeners will get a lot out of the conversations with you. And so what I'd love to do is just start you back in the beginning. What facilitated this change for you? I know even from your journey, I did a little cheating, of course, and read forward. So I know there's even like a historical figure from the past that even played into you as a young girl. All. So
you must be talking about Daniel Boone.
Daniel Boone, yes. So please tell everybody how this journey started for you.
Yeah, so I was 7 years old. I learned about Daniel Boone in school that day. And if anybody doesn't know Daniel Boone, he's one of our first American folk heroes. And we learned about him, and he was kind of infamous for carrying around a shotgun and wearing a raccoon tail hat. And we learned about him in school, and I came home, and I was telling my mom, man, we learned about this guy, Daniel Boone, and he was so mean, this dude. He shot animals, and he ate them, and he wore them, and I was pretty horrified. And my mom was just super honest with me, and I really have her to thank for this. She said, well, Ella, we're very fortunate these days. We have grocery stores. They didn't have grocery stores back then. But now we have grocery stores. We just go and pick the meat up ourselves. And we don't have to, go through the bad part of killing it. And it was at that moment, Mike, that kind of, I guess that aha moment happened for me. And I connected the food on my plate with the animal that it was. And at 7 years old, I was horrified. I said, never again. And that was it. I never ate meat again. And, then my journey continued because I obviously felt very strongly about this. And as I got a little older and was able to do the research and discover the connections and the cruelty involved, not just in the meat industry, but also in the dairy and the egg and the fur and leather, all those other animal agricultural type industries, I learned about the cruelty involved there. And at 15, I went totally vegan. So I stopped eating. So it was all originally, now I was into fitness my whole life as well, but the actual vegan part really started with a passion for to saving animals. Yeah.
Oh, neat. All right, so let me ask you this. All right, because I know, like you said, we're going to focus a lot on like your fitness. So when you went vegan at 15 and all, and what is some of the drive, I guess, that drove you to like the fitness levels you achieved? Because I know you like to really show that it could be done. I mean, was that some of the initial drive for you?
Well, it's later. I mean, I started sports when I was like 5 years old. I was swimming and started gymnastics and competed, and just being active was always a part of my childhood. But as I got more into the vegan thing and I graduated from college, I felt like it was important to really drive home and prove that you can be the fittest person, the best shape that you can be, all eating plants, all being plant-powered. So that's really what drove me to do that competition, because I only did one. I did one fitness competition my whole life because it never really interested me. But then I said, you know what, this is a great opportunity for me to do something, step outside my comfort zone, do something different, and really kind of prove to the world that you can do that. Totally, having built my physique on plants alone. I've been doing it so long already, you couldn't argue that was built on animal protein. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and I was fortunate enough. I actually competed in 3 different divisions in that show, and I got first in the bikini division, and I actually came out second in the fitness and fitness model category. So I did really well, and I was very relieved about that. But the truth is, too, Mike, the cool part was that I didn't have to train as hard as everybody else. Like, my lifestyle was already pretty much keeping me close to where I needed to be to do well in that competition. So I didn't even train that differently or eat that differently. Of course, I did some some differences to really get the water out at the end, and things you don't do on a regular basis. But yeah, it wasn't like it wasn't that big a deal.
That is so cool you bring that up, because you kind of led me into the next question I was going to ask you, because I've heard that from other people. So I wanted to hear kind of what your experience was, but it sounds like you echoed what other people said, which is so cool, is that you don't have to make a lot of these drastic changes. Because I do have friends and know people that do competition, stuff like that. And a lot of times there is, different, if you will, meal regimens at certain, stages when they're getting prepped for contests and all like that. So I always do think it's pretty neat when I talk to someone that's plant-based in this type of a level, if you will, that they're like, you know what, I make small tweaks. However, it's not really upsetting, if you will, the proverbial apple cart, at, week 6 and week 2, and stuff like that.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that kind of discouraged me from the beginning from even wanting to get into competitions, because I would see my friends that would do bodybuilding shows and do figure and fitness shows, and I would see what they would go through and the things they were eating, and how grumpy they were because they were hungry, or they were only eating chicken and broccoli with not no flavor, and they were just pretty miserable. I was like, why are you doing that to yourself? But when I decided to do it, it became clear pretty quickly that I wasn't going to have to change much of anything. What I was doing already was sustainable, not only sustainable of how I was eating and how I was working out, but just making those little tweaks allowed me to kind of fine tune what I needed to do to get on stage.
Cool.
Not have to fluctuate. Yeah, those people, bodybuilders, like, they fluctuate in weight, and it's really an unhealthy arena to get into if you do it that way.
Oh, listen. Oh, yeah. I know about the weight fluctuation. As I tell my listeners and all, a lot of them know, I tell them, I grew up a meathead wrestler. And so, I definitely knew about, dropping weight for every wrestling match and all like that. I tell people, a lot of people trip out that, like, my junior year in high school, I literally had a walk-around weight to where I would drop 20 pounds per match. And, it was crazy doing all that yo-yo and all like that. And it does take a toll. All right, so you did those, and then when did, if you would like, because you do a lot of great things on your website and a lot of stuff that you put out there now for people. When did, I guess, that kind of become front of mind? How did that develop for you, where you thought, you know what, I want to take this to another level and start, helping others and giving back to others?
Good question. So when I got out of college, I'm 30. About to be 37 now. This is back like when I was 22. I got out of school, and at that time, so that was a fairly long time ago, the vegan thing was still pretty obscure. So to think about getting into a business that would allow me to make a living solely like promoting veganism was kind of a tough thing to do. So I decided to promote on my own, but also to really have a career in the fitness industry, because that was a way I knew I could make money. So I jumped into the fitness industry, started training people. I got certified, like you said, with the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and started training people, and that's what brought me down to Miami to help open a new line of health clubs. And so I made it down to Miami, and I was doing that for a while, and many years actually, and it just finally hit me. I said, this is not only what I was meant to do in life. Like, my mission is to help people move away from animal products and start eating plant-based, and show people the way, and show people that it doesn't have to, it'll make your life better, and it'll enhance your life, not feel deprived. You don't have to feel deprived, or give up everything you love and or your social life, and you don't have to wear Birkenstocks or have smelly armpits. Like, the stereotypes were so strong back then. And I said, I really gotta bring veganism into the mainstream. And that's my true mission in life, and show people how to be fit and healthy on a vegan diet. And that's when I came up with my brand, Sexy Fit Vegan, to really show people that you can do it all. You can have it all, and you'll be better off for a lifetime, not to mention all the animals that you're saving, the environmental factors that come into play as well.
Well, I love it. And your website, sexyvegan.com, is awesome, because you've got a ton of stuff on there.
Thank you.
And like I said, I liked your approach too, because that was kind of even what, if you will, inspired me to just do my podcast and blog, was kind of like I said earlier, I'm a meathead wrestler. And so a lot of people that knew me growing up and all like that, when I first went, plant-based vegan, they were like, what? You don't fit. Almost kind of like you said, you just rattled off a lot of the, quote, stereotypes, if you will. And they're like, you don't fit that. And even to today, I'll get that. And I wear it with a badge of honor. Because I like that. Because I like, just like you, I love raising the awareness. So, so you started training everybody and all, and the website and putting them through, I know you're doing a lot through there. Take us to, I guess, if you don't mind sharing, just now with people listening, and again, my audience is broad. We've got some people listening that have been plant-based vegan longer than you and I, some that are just, starting out, and some that are just gathering information. And so what is maybe starting out of the gate first, even maybe for you, some favorite like snacks or meals, just because, that are easy and simple to make? Because I get a lot of times from people, that stuff it looks tough, looks hard, and so I love just sharing, the easy stuff to just let them know it isn't hard.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I'm all about, I wrote a cookbook, but I don't like to cook. So my cookbook is made, and they're delicious, but they're all really simple and easy and quick, because I'm not one of those vegan chefs that just adores being in the kitchen for hours. And I know most people out there they don't have the time, they don't want to spend the time in the kitchen, and they don't want to, have these complicated meals. So really it's all about getting practical, and so that's a good question. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Keep going.
Doable.
You were right in my wheelhouse. Apparently you know me well already. I mean,
it sounds like we have so many similarities.
Yes, I'm telling you. Preach it, girl. I'm telling you. I'm right there with you. It's just, I tell people, look, me, my extent is like chopping up an apple. So.
Exactly. There you go. Put some almond butter on there, and you've got a great snack, right? It's not hard. So it's funny. One of the things that we do, I have an 8-week program that helps people make the transition, and it's not about handing somebody a cookie cutter plan. It's about teaching someone the tools and giving them. And one of the things we do in the very first week is start a list of go-to foods and a list of staple foods to always keep in your kitchen. So what we do is have a list of foods that you always keep in your kitchen, because as long as you have those foods in, you can whip up something in 5 minutes that you can feel good about, that you enjoy, because everybody enjoys different things, and that's okay. So I mean, there's the typical vegan snacks of like the hummus and veggies. Well, that might, I might like doing hummus and veggies for a month, and then I might be sick of the hummus and veggies for a month. So then I go in to find my next go-to. And so you start collecting a list of go-to foods and those staples that you keep in your fridge. I love having shakes in the morning for the most part, but sometimes I get tired of eating shakes. So then this morning, this is just to be honest with you, like this morning I felt like I had a salad for breakfast. I'm like, forget all the rules. Do what feels good. And this morning I didn't feel like a shake. I felt like a salad. So I had a salad with lentils and beets and the tahini dressing, and that's what I felt like. So I went with it. So it's about finding what's going to work for you. So that's one of my staples. I do shakes. I started making my own nut milk, which sounds crazy. Like if you had asked me 10 years ago, will you make your own nut milk? I'm like, no, why would I do that? There's almond milk in the grocery store. That's easy. Honestly, it takes 5 minutes to make cashew milk. 5
really?
minutes.
All right, walk me through.
Okay, you put a cup of cashews in some water, let it soak for a couple hours. So you could put it in at night and wake up in the morning. You got these soaked cashews. You throw them in a high-speed blender. I do love the Vitamix. It just is got all that power to make lots of different things. So I throw it up with water, some dates, and I even go and get the bulk instead of the medjool dates that you have to like kind of take the seeds out of and everything. I get the date rolls, and they're just dates mushed up already, and I just throw them in there, so you don't have to. Otherwise, you want to soak the dates as well. Throw it in there, add some vanilla, and I put some vanilla in there, and sometimes a little cinnamon. Blend it. Done. That's
wow.
it.
All right. Now, and so you said you're throwing. All right. So do you drain, I guess, the nuts that you had soaked for overnight?
Yeah. So you'll put them in a strainer, just wash them off. You're kind of washing off those.
Gotcha.
And then you just throw them in with new water, some filtered water, and dates and vanilla, and you're set. You just blend it up, and you've got this creamy, delicious milk that tastes. I mean, it's like a whole nother level. And my favorite actually is the Brazil nut milk. And Brazil nut milk is got even even the most wonderful flavor. And I have to be careful. Brazil nuts, these are like the little things you learn eventually. Brazil nuts have 9,000% your recommended daily intake of selenium. Did you know that?
No.
9,000. So we need selenium, but you can overdo it with selenium. So you have to kind of pull back on the Brazil nut. So some other milks, cashews are particularly easy because you don't have to strain it. They're so soft after you soak them that there's no straining necessary. So that makes that the easiest type of nut milk to make. But with Brazil nut milk and some other types of milk that you can also make, you just need to, they have these like nut milk bags that you just strain through, so you're just taking out that extra kind of the fiber and the things that will make it not so smooth.
Okay.
But other than
nice.
that, so that's just like an example of little things that, and then for lunch have you ever heard of Banza chickpea pasta?
No, bring it. I love this.
Yeah. So it's a pasta, and you can they have it at my Fresh Market, but you can order it online. They have it on Amazon, I think. It's called Banza chickpea pasta, one of the discoveries I made last year. So it's a pasta that's made completely from chickpeas, and it's got like a ton of protein, lots of fiber. And I put that with I sprayed a little olive oil on it. This was for lunch. And then I sprinkled some of they make it so easy that these days they have like Parmesan cheese, that's not cheese, that's vegan, all the cheese substitutes and all that to get rid of your like if you've got addiction to dairy, which I know so many people have, nowadays it's so easy. Now, 20 years ago, how long have you been vegan?
Me, 7 years.
Okay, so 22 years ago when I went vegan, like we had nothing. I mean, they came out with a vegan cheese, and it made you want to vomit. It was so gross. But now, people who are right in that place now, I mean, the most challenging part is not turning into a junk food vegan. We didn't have those options back in the day. I mean, we had Oreos. Oreos are vegan. But little tidbit, do you know, and I always tell people you can't outrun your fork. Do you know how many burpees? You know what a burpee is, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. So it's like squats. What else are they called?
Some people, I've heard maybe almost they kind of resemble, for some people who don't know burpee, maybe almost like squat thrusters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, a little bit like that.
It's a difficult exercise, right? And
it's
challenging, and it's a full body exercise. How many burpees do you think it takes to burn off the like no good empty calories in 3 Oreo cookies?
Oh my gosh, how many?
Over 100, depending on your weight. Over 100. And for 3 cookies, yeah. I mean, those...
Yeah. And for everyone listening, and Kate, like we said, we rattled off a couple potential names for burpees. However, if you walk by any gym or what they call a CrossFit box, as the burpees go over a threshold typically of about maybe 15, they all of a sudden become other names. And sometimes, people make up names, and normally they're 4-letter words, coincidentally enough. So...
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my! Over 100. Oh, curse the Oreos. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm no fan. I don't count calories. I don't count macros. I don't do any of that. Non-sustainable, unfun things. I want to live in a way I want to eat in a way that's fun for me, that's enjoyable, and that's what I want to help other people do. I don't want people to be slaves to their what's that app called that everybody enters every single thing they put in their mouth, I forgot the name. MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
So it's an app, and I hear so many of my potential clients saying, "Wow, I recorded in MyFitnessPal, and I'm eating this many percentage of carbs and this many percentage of fat, and I'm keeping it down to 1,200 calories, and I'm not seeing results." Well, it's not about that. It's about the quality of the food that you're putting in your body and being able to listen to your body and see what feels good and what gives you energy, and eating slowly and chewing your food to a pace so that you can know when you're full. I mean, these other techniques that make eating fun and enjoyable and prevent you from having to do these things like count calories every day. It's just terribly annoying.
And I love that you say that because, I know I kind of tell people always to each their own. And I do like you bring that up because I think a lot of times people assume that they have to live their life that way, that they have to count and measure out and how many grams am I getting of this and that. And I tell people, if that's your personality and how you're wired, more power to you. There's people that do that. Sure. However, I also don't want people feeling that pressure because I'm not one of those people. Because I get asked and people are like, well, how much of this, how much of this? I'm like, you know what? I want to eat nutrition, and that is my goal. You know, and I'll watch how I react to foods, if you will, how my body reacts to foods and stuff like that. Because I tell people, still within a plant-based, vegan, eating, yeah, you'll have things that affect you different. Maybe fruits and the sugars can affect two different people, in different ways. I said, so that's one thing to just watch. But I'm so glad you brought that up about not putting that pressure on yourself if that's just not, if you will, how you're wired.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is, you're right. Like you brought up that what works for some people doesn't work for other people. And that's why handing somebody a cookie cutter plan and saying, here, this is the right plan, that's wrong. That's the only thing that's wrong is telling someone this is how you have to eat to look the way you want to look and feel the way you want to feel. It's really about kind of discovering the plan that works for you. And in the parameters, even in the parameters of a vegan diet, there's so many different, you've got the 80-10-10 people, mostly they're endurance athletes who say that what works best for them is eating 80% carbohydrates, 10% protein, and 10% 10% fat. And that doesn't work for everybody. But that's not saying that's wrong. That works well for them. For a lot of people. Then, other people are more high fat, and it's about finding the combination of quality food, making sure you're getting in all the nutrients your body needs in a combination that feels right for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. So kind of on this same theme here because I know, again, you're focusing on, a lot of like the workouts and all. What maybe is advice that you give to people or maybe that you use yourself for like maybe some pre-workout? Any pre-workout meals or drinks to kind of flush into the system, and anything maybe you use and maybe advise to people, after?
Yeah. So, in general, from what works for me, and I can talk about what works for me, I don't like to have much like food in my system before a workout. So what I like to do is eat, like if I roll out of bed and go work out, which I don't really do much anymore because my body, I like it to wake up a little bit, but then it's fine. I just go. But otherwise, fruit really works well for me about an hour before a workout, just because it carries me through, gives me that energy. And then after, I like to have something substantial that's got both protein and complex and quality carbohydrates. So, often I'll do a shake with, after my workout with, kale and spinach with Brazil nut milk or almond milk, banana or mame. It's another fruit that's kind of like papaya. So a bunch of greens, some spirulina, which is a green algae,
yep.
but it's glucose algae, but it also has tons of protein in it.
Yep.
Putting together a shake that you really feel good about, that's satisfying right away. And then about an hour later, I'm hungry again after that, and then I'll figure out what to eat. But if you get that in your system right away and get those good sugars and that good protein, those amino acids into your system right away after a workout, it can be really beneficial.
All right. So let me ask you this, because, it's that time of year. A lot of us are, thinking about, taking a stroll, on the beach, outside, stuff like that. And since, one of us on this conversation wrote a book about it, I figure maybe one of us can maybe give just a couple pointers, for instance, on just maybe some quick things people out of the gate can start with, maybe, just some maybe overall body conditioning. Because, again, a lot of the people that are listening to this, they're kind of maybe, some people come and they're turning their lives around. They're wanting to go. So maybe, what are maybe just some beginner, stuff you would advise people doing, maybe in the beginning stages, a little bit for abs and maybe total body? Any just great exercises off the top of your head?
For fitness. Well, burpees, we've already said burpees. Not go wrong with burpees. And you know what I just did, actually? I just, literally 2 days ago, I think, Mike, I put together a group on Facebook that is everybody's welcome to be a part of it. It's called the Vegan Fitness Challenges Facebook group.
So that's where they find it, like Facebook.com/Vegan Fitness Challenge?
Challenges, yeah.
Challenge, okay.
Vegan Fitness Challenges. They can request to join. I'll welcome them in. And
awesome.
Every month we're going to be doing a 5-day, the first 5 weekdays of every month, we're going to be doing a little fitness challenge and a little challenge to eat vegan. And burpees are definitely on the cards a lot because they're such a wonderful full body workout for strength and for your cardiovascular system, So that's, I mean, if you ask me what the number one exercise, if you could do anything for 10 minutes a day, if you did burpees for 10 minutes a day, you would be, you would see improvements very quickly. But yeah, no, I like body weight type of exercises. Burpees are great. Squats and lunges, making sure your form is correct on those is very important to protect from injuries and that sort of thing. Push-ups, pull-ups. All these body weight exercises that you can do almost anywhere are, for me, they're like the best exercises. And I used to lift a lot of heavy weights back in the day. So I've built my lean muscle, and now it's more for me maintaining. But I still teach some classes, and getting in those burpees and the squats and the push-ups and the pull-ups are great. But the other thing that's great is finding something that you love, that's enjoyable to you, to get your body moving in different ways and getting some variety of movement. So yeah, for me, it's Muay Thai. For you, you had wrestling. What else did you do?
I did from wrestling, you did like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And some stuff and you and I talked about, because I love trying to balance it out. Like with me now, it's that, and I'll incorporate some yoga, running, just different things to kind of, I'm trying more, almost like you're talking about, be well-rounded.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you pointed out.
Excites you.
And I'm glad you pointed out to everyone, remember the form. Because so many people, we get going, we get excited about something, and we forget and we lose form, and that's where the accidents happen to our body. You know, and I love people, saying that. Because, like, for me, I was doing CrossFit for a while, and I really enjoyed it. And I still really think highly of CrossFit. And a lot of times CrossFit will get, somewhat of a bad rap. People say there's a lot of injuries. However, the injuries come from people breaking form. And so I always remind you about that. I'm like, look, it's not that. It's just you got to remember, don't break form, And I'm one of those people, I'd get in there, get competitive, race it against the clock. Then I'd try and squeeze out those last few reps. Here we go. Oh, there it goes. That felt good.
Laying on the floor.
Exactly. Yeah. And renaming burpees at the time. You always come up with unique names of the day for burpees.
There you go.
So, all right, well, tell us then, what else have you got going on? I know you stay real busy on the Facebook, and I'm going to put that in the show notes because I want people to go there. I'm going to go there myself.
Yeah.
Definitely signing up for that. What else? Have you got anything on the horizon that we could talk about to people?
I am traveling to Europe next month, which is just exciting for me, and I'm making it kind of a pleasure but a work trip. A lot of my new clients are in the UK. That are coming in to me for my 8-week program, which is really what I'm focused on at this moment, is the 8-week program, because it's a very holistic and comprehensive program to help people make that transition. So I put a lot of work into that. I have a lot of connection with the clients who are doing that program. Like I said, a lot of them are in UK. So I'm going to put together a whole kind of a vlog, I guess you would call it, of my travels, really showing people, because so many we all travel at some point, whether it's out of the country, out of the city, and it can throw you off your routine pretty easily, and that's one of the challenges a lot of people have, especially people who do travel for work or even for pleasure. So I'm going to really put together kind of a tutorial on how to travel and stick to a healthy, fit, plant-based lifestyle and still have fun. Like, nice. I love strong, dark Belgian beer. Yes, I do. People are like, what? You like beer? How can you have abs and like beer? Well, you balance it out. You find the balance that works for you. And I like to go out on the weekends and have some Belgian beer, watch some sports, eat some vegan wings. They're not healthy for you, but life is too short. Like, we got to find a balance that works for you, that gives you the results you want, but also allows you to have a life, have friends, go out, have fun, not worry about it sometimes.
You know what? I love it. I mean, again, you said it earlier. I think we have a whole lot more things in common, because that's what I preach to people as well. It's like, a lot of people, sometimes they hear plant-based vegan and they assume that, like, out of the gate, they got to go, all at once. Or then they assume it's got to be, totally 100% raw and all like that, which is great for people that do that. However, there are a lot of great things, like you were saying, that, they're not the greatest, if you will, maybe calories and all like that. But, like, I love, like, the cauliflower buffalo wings. You give me someone that does those right, forget about it. I'll gladly do my million burpees. But, there's just, and there's so many great flavors. There's so many great things out there now that are on a plant-based vegan, eating menu. I love it. And I look forward to then circling back with you on, like you said, when you talk about the traveling and eating, because I like having that, because a lot of people wonder if they can accomplish that, if that creates different challenges. So I want us to circle back so we can tell people about your adventures on that and kind of how you navigated that so others can do the same. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be back on and tell you all about it.
Well, cool. Well, Miss Ella, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, Mike. Thanks for having me.
It is an awesome talking with you today. Well, thank you, and look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Ella, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was awesome having you here. And thank you so much for spreading, again, to everybody your information. I mean, who would have thought? Daniel Boone, great American folklore legend there. Daniel Boone played such a pivotal role in bringing to us what has now become Ella Magers, the Sexy Fit Vegan founder. And everybody listen, remember, you can find what Ella was talking about her at her website, www.sexyfitvegan.com. Go check out, the Facebook group, Vegan Fitness Challenges. I'm already on there myself. And so you got to check that out and add that to what you're doing so you can get, her information and inspiration on your training. Plus, check out her book, the 6 weeks to Sexy Abs Meal Plan. So she's got everything, spelled out there for you. Because a lot of people always ask me, look, what's a roadmap? Mike, give me a roadmap. Well, there you go. Check out her book. You'll be able to find it right there. But really do appreciate you coming on. I mean, now, oh my gosh, thanks to you, Ella. I don't know if I'll ever be able to eat Oreos again. I mean, if I sit there and stare at Oreos now, knowing that 3 of them, and I mean, 3 are just a tease. I mean, there's no way. In life, if you're going to go near Oreos, and you think you're going to be able to get away with only eating 3, look, we're all just kidding ourselves when we think that. We're always going to eat more than 3. But knowing that it's going to 100 burpees to burn off 3 Oreos, dear good gracious, 100 burpees. I mean, that's a whole lot of cussing and fussing going on over 3 Oreos. So I will definitely be rethinking that ever again in my life. But, I really appreciate, Ella, what you brought on and shared, and again, your approach, because I tell people a lot, I love, the expression and living life saying, you meet people where they're at, and everyone's going to have sometimes their own path, their own journey. Those of you listening do. However, I love what she said, but where she doesn't count the calories, the macros, and she's not, like a slave to some kind of an eating app or anything like that. She just listens to her body, and then she eats, and based off how her body feels, that is what she's going to find out what works for her and what doesn't. And I love that approach, because that's also me. Again, a lot of people ask me, hey, are you doing this? Are you loading on this? Or how many grams of this? And I tell people, look, I don't. I try different things. That's one cool thing I love about doing this show and talking to people. And I know from the feedback I get from you listeners is that you love it as well, because people come on and they just give their unique spin, their unique take and what's working in life for them. And I get people that kind of pick and choose. And that's what I love. To me, it is like walking through, if you will, the grocery store life, where you kind of like pick some of this off the shelf. Then you may go over here and pick some of that off the shelf, and put it all in the cart, and find out what works for you. Just listening to your body, And I loved it. I thought it was very cool in that when she was talking about getting ready, back in 2014, when she was doing, the Fame Fitness World Championships, and how, she was leading up to the competition. And as far as the eating everything, it was easy for her. And I'm going to tell you, those of you listening, if you've ever followed or had friends or listened to people that do, fitness competitions, bodybuilding competitions and all like that, a lot of them that don't, if they're not on a plant-based, vegan, eating regimen, it is, it's tough for them. A lot of dedication and focus there when you're winding down, towards the end of it. So it's pretty unique to hear her approach, in that she said, I didn't really have to change that much. Like she said, she kind of did a little, bit of stuff at the very end, tweaking the water and all like that. But she goes, I didn't have to tweak my diet. And I'm going to tell you that is awesome, because, she wasn't upsetting, if you will, her life, and getting a little bit of grumpy by cutting out meals, cutting out food, stuff like that. Like you hear, that happens a lot of times when people are doing that. So I think that was a great share. That really was a great share. Appreciate you doing that. Thanks so much for sharing about like the cashew milk everyone heard. You heard how easy that is to make. So I'm going to put that in the show notes on how to do that. But again, it's something easy to make, incredibly nutritious for you and great for you. So as she said, find the balance that works for you. And I think that was just a great insight from you, Ella. Thanks so much for sharing that for everybody. Everybody, thanks as always for tuning in. All I ask is that you help spread the word so we can spread this information out to other people. Just tell them to go to iTunes, Vegan Tour Guide. That's where you'll find it. Stitcher, other platforms for the podcast. Pass it along. Subscribe. Make sure, if you would, when you're on iTunes, don't just listen, but also subscribe. Also, you can subscribe on my homepage at vegantourguide.com. You'll find the subscription there. Always, if you ever have any trouble doing any of that, email me, vegantourguide@gmail.com. Love getting your emails. Answer them all. Again, I get a lot of insight out of those and a lot of direction on what I can bring to the show and add to the show. So thank you so much for that. I always want to give a big shout out to Pat Flynn for his information and inspiration putting together the podcast, bensound.com for the use of the audio. Look forward to hearing from everybody and seeing everybody. Social media everywhere at Vegan Tour Guide. And until next time, everybody, live Pura Vida.